Hello, folks, and welcome to episode, I want to say 22.
23.
23 of the InsiDE Sport Podcast. That's with the DE capitalized. Folks, our location has changed yet again. Seems like it's a common pattern here. We are in an undisclosed apartment. It's Jay Cruz's apartment.
Well,
but you don't know where that is. But
thank God.
we are doing this because Thursday is the beginning of March Madness, and this is basically the only time that really ever fits in with our schedules. But we wanted to make sure that we got to watch all the good games going on. So we got Michigan State and Mississippi State in the background. And I am your host, Cole Daly, editor-in-chief of the Daily Egyptian. I've got Joey B., graduate assistant for the Daily Egyptian, and then Jay Cruz, who's just some guy. So first, before we get into the very, very fun March Madness tournament.
Yes.
I don't know. I didn't know how to finish that sentence. But before we get into that, there was something that happened for SIU basketball that it's very, very clear we have to talk about. So women, they lost in the first round, as we kind of all expected.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean to say that, but if that sounds harsh, we don't mean it that way. But it's kind of just what the expectations for this year's team
I
was.
was impressed that they did get an 8 seed, though.
Right.
Very proud of that. They actually finished
It's a
the
very
season.
strong finish to the
They
season.
finished the season relatively strong.
Yeah.
Exactly. But however, didn't manage to kind of keep it rolling. Going in that tournament, they lost in the hoops in the Heartland. But Arch Madness, I was there to cover it, so was Joey B. Jay Cruz did not end up getting to go. That's a shame.
Had to be at baseball.
What? I thought you said this one year you wouldn't have to be at baseball.
Well, no. So we played Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and I could have gone to the Sunday game, but it just didn't work out. So.
Right. Those things happen. However, we lost in an upset to 11-seeded UIC, University of Illinois at Chicago. Shout out Evan Glenzinski. Yeah, and basically, I know me and Joey B went. I don't know if Jay Cruz got to tune into the game or see some of the stats.
The whole thing.
Right? Give me some thoughts on that game, because I'm not going to lie to you, it didn't look great for me.
No, I couldn't imagine what the vibes were like in there. I know for me, watching the game and kind of listening to the announcers, it hit me about halfway through. We were down by maybe 14 or 15, and one of UIC's guys had like an incredible putback dunk, and I thought to myself, do we have anybody on this team that's capable of doing what that guy just did?
I know, and I think about that all the time. I watched UNI play the next day,
Like,
and they just drop step dunk. Do we have
Yeah.
anybody aside from Scotty Abube? And here's the thing with Scotty. He still kind of needs space. I mean,
yeah.
and we don't have Scotty Abube
Yeah.
anymore.
Most of the team we don't have anymore.
Exactly. So, Joey B, I mean, what did you see kind of that performance against UNI?
I mean, I thought of it as like a microcosm of just the season in general. Like, we blew a lead. Granted, it wasn't as big of a lead as what we came back from
Right.
UIC. I think we were down by a little more than 20.
We were down.
Yeah.
No, I think 17 was
17, okay.
which is
That's-
still huge.
Yeah, still a huge lead. We came back from a lead. We blew a lead, and Xavier Johnson had to play Superman at some point. He ends up fouling out. So does AJ Ferguson. Man, he was a stud that just kind of grew better as the season went along. And that just forced us into this situation in double overtime that we weren't going to be able to get through, considering we don't have as many... would you guys agree we don't have as many pure shooters on this team anymore?
I mean, we don't have... I think a
didn't.
better word of I think the better way of saying it is we just don't have scores. I mean, it was really when Xavier Johnson and AJ Ferguson left the game, you know, I have respect for the guys that are on the team, and obviously, you know, it's not like I could go out there and carry and score 20, but like, I instantly was like, it's over. I mean, really, at the college D1 level, the amount of scores and playmakers that we have, it's Xavier Johnson, and really it wasn't AJ Ferguson consistently over the season, but it was him in that game because of his athletic ability. Mm-hmm. And when we started running plays to, once again, I mean, no offense to the guy, but Clarence Rupert in crunch time, the guy who gets fouled and shoots about 53% from the free throw, I mean, I got very concerned. I kind of knew it was over for us then. I was honestly shocked we made it to double overtime. And that's just how it
I mean,
was.
we blew a 6-point lead after... We
had that giant
10
comeback.
seconds left?
We had that giant
Brandon
comeback.
said something like that.
And then we were up by like 6 with like 2 minutes left. And then we just... Here's the thing. And this is maybe something that we'll talk about in a little bit. But I feel that we got very predictable.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
They knew it was Xavier Johnson, nothing but Xavier Johnson. Because of that, they locked us up, and they knew where it was going, and we. I think there was also substitutions that could have been made because there was a certain player. I don't know if I want to name the certain player, but that was kind of getting hunted on defense. Trent Brown and his lack of size. Yeah, they were looking for switches onto Trent Brown the entire game with Isaiah Rivera, and Isaiah Rivera ended up with.
He knifed him up.
I mean, it's just what it is, and that's not on Trent Brown. I think he did a good job of staying in front of him.
No, yeah.
He's actually not a horrible defender. It's just there's just a thing in basketball where, I mean, Isaiah Rivera has about a solid 3 inches on Trent.
Yeah,
that's really what it comes down to.
We were down to having Troy D'Amico end up being the one, and he's like a 4/5 guy.
Yeah.
Like, that's how bad our situation was, and it just wasn't going to get done against a UIC team who, I mean, coming out of that, I think they're much more talented than just an 11 seed.
It was kind of interesting how in that overtime after X fouled out, we actually started running plays on offense as opposed to just X ISO ball.
Yeah.
That's when Troy hit that wide open 3 in the corner to go up by 2.
Imagine that. Imagine running plays on offense.
It was weird how it just worked out like that.
Uh-huh.
So that's the only thing I would say with that. I just found that to be pretty ironic and interesting.
Right. So we talked a lot about the game planning. Let's get into the big decision that was made. So the day after our big upset loss, SIU decided to part ways with head coach Brian Mullins, who had been there for 5 years. Relatively successful tenure. I think SIU, this is probably better than SIU basketball's been in the past. We had a little dry spurt there. Brian has kind of rejuvenated us, but we do have some concerns, don't we? And so I think... I guess we weren't sure if we could say all of our concerns on the podcast while he was still our head coach.
Doesn't really matter now, though.
And it doesn't really matter now. So is there any kind of... I mean, J. Cruz, I know you feel a certain way about this.
The interesting thing is I actually came away at the end of this season more impressed with his in-game coaching ability than I ever had. But the reason why I was so impressed with his in-game coaching ability was because of what I believe was his major flaw as a head coach. And it's not even that he's much better or worse than like the bad coaches in our league. But I led this segment off by saying UIC had a dude who's probably their 4th or 5th best player do this incredible athletic putback dunk. And I had the thought of like, maybe the reason why we aren't where we need to be is because of recruiting. Maybe he's just not a great recruiter.
Right.
I don't think, especially with this year's team, I know we overachieved, but at the end of the day, we still didn't have nearly the team we needed to compete for Missouri Valley Conference championships. And right after the firing happened, I listened to every bit of sound I could from our AD, Tim Leonard, on why this decision was made. And I guess I didn't realize this because I didn't grow up watching SIU in the mid-2000s. I mean, we were going to the NCAA tournament pretty much every single season at that point, constantly ranked in the top 25. The expectations here are sky high.
Yeah.
And I did not realize that until recently. But that's the sentiment that he kept echoing while he was talking on these different radio shows and talking with Saluki Radio. And so I think that's the standard. The standard is winning the Missouri Valley Conference tournament once probably at least every 5 years or so. And whether or not you think that's too high doesn't really matter because that's the expectation here.
That's what it is.
It's the expectation that our administration has. Would I have that expectation? Probably not. Because I think Brian brought us from a really, really bad place where we were after that run in the mid-2000s. But yeah, I think I'm more, I guess, at peace with it now than I think a lot of people were then. The other thing I'll just say is this firing caused a lot of tension within not only Saluki Athletics, but within the fan base. And I think that's a really toxic place that you don't want to be in the future. So I don't know who we're going to hire as our new head coach. I've heard rumblings about a couple of different guys, but I don't know anything for sure. I just hope that the new head coach is able to unify this fan base and we're all able to root for him.
It's split 50-50
Pretty
on
much.
how you feel about the firing. And
Right.
I just think that I don't have we ever really seen anything like this, at least in our tenure
No.
as being college students at
Absolutely
SIU.
not.
Like I've never seen anything like this. So I think it's quite interesting too. I don't mean to interrupt.
No,
Cruz or
you
anything,
didn't.
but-
You didn't. I mean, I think when it comes down to my personal opinion, I mean, we talk about 50-50. I'm one of those that can understand why a little bit. I think the way that I look at Brian Mullins is the way I look at sort of there was a. I'm not saying this is true or not, but I feel that it's somewhat the case when it comes down to LeBron's legacy. Is he makes bad players good and great players good. And I think that's kind of what we had with Brian Mullins, where we had an amazing roster last year. I mean, think of like Xavier Johnson, Marcus Damask, and Lance Jones. How were we not in that championship game? Yeah. Missouri Valley championship game with that kind of talent? But this year, I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't have that high of expectations. I thought 9th in the Missouri Valley, which wasn't that like our preseason, what we were expected to be?
Yeah, lower than the women's, and they were 8th.
To me, that felt accurate. I mean, I was like, where are the points going to come from? Xavier Johnson, certainly I didn't expect him to have this kind of year and all that kind of stuff. But hey, we finished 6th. We were in this position where we could have finished 4th. If we beat that UNI team, we finished 4th. But, I mean, our defense is solid. Was solid under him. I shouldn't say it is still. But our offense really was, honestly, with no disrespect to the word, I felt our offense lacked a lot of creativity.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of, like I said, we got really predictable at the end of games. We were not good at my biggest complaint in that USC game after the comeback, which I was just like, oh my gosh, but I was shocked we just couldn't put them away. We could never put them away. You have to be able, if you are like the best coaches in the game can put them away, and we couldn't do that because we didn't have a whole lot of options. So I get frustrated. Holloman just looks like Cassius Winston. He was number 5, and he had that headband. It's really funny for Michigan State.
Michigan State just whiffed on 2 alley-oop.
Yeah, for Cohen Carr, right? I think that's what it comes down to. I think me and Jay Cruz are in agreement on this, where, and we don't know who the candidates are, and we haven't talked to them, so this is going with zero speculation. But for what Brian Mullins did to this program, I think we both kind of assume SIU will be in a worse place, unfortunately.
In the very near future.
Our prediction in the very near future will be in a worse place, but we think that it will benefit us in the long term.
It has to get worse before it gets better, I think is the best way to put it.
Yeah, because it wasn't a bad tenure. It wasn't like I have a lot of respect for Brian Mullins. That just being said, I think we needed a lot more offensive ingenuity and kind of a lot. It became a lot of iso ball, and I even talked to you guys on this pod about how I felt that way. It wasn't just Xavier Johnson this year, because this year it made sense, but even last year it was the Marcus Damask show, and he's awesome. I get it, but you have to mix it up.
Which season had more creativity in terms of play calling on the court on offense? Last year with Marcus Damask and Lance Jones, or this year with Xavier Johnson and really anyone else who just stepped up?
I say this year, but honestly, it's not comparable. They're literally both in the creative play calling sense. I mean, I'm sure it's more than this, but I mean, really, I felt 50%, half the plays were just Xavier Johnson go.
Yeah.
And that was how it was with that. Now, that's not on plays where Xavier Johnson's scoring. Obviously, if they kick it out and that kind of stuff, that's fine for 50% of our points to come from Xavier in some games. That's what had to happen. But I mean, good Lord, I felt like we were really one-sided on offense. But that doesn't mean that I think Brian Mullins was a bad coach, because I don't think he was.
Was it the best 5-year stretch of Saluki basketball since, was it the 2007 season, the last time we went to the tournament, won the conference?
The last 2 seasons were easily the 2 best seasons.
Best 2 seasons.
Yeah. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. So that's why it's a very weird firing, but I think, once again, it's going to pay off in the long term. But I do think whoever we hire next, I'm worried. Because Brian did have a base here. The candidates, and like I said, I haven't talked to any of the candidates, obviously, but I have heard murmurs of maybe we get the Morehead State head coach after this Illinois game. He obviously made the tournament this year, right? Hopes have to be high. The only problem is it's going to be really hard for him because, as we mentioned earlier, everybody's gone. D'Amico's gone. Ferguson's gone. Boué's gone. Anybody who played significant minutes is either graduating or leaving because I think Brian Mullins did have a control over that locker room and a lot of the guys.
I mean, whoever comes in has to be an excellent recruiter of transfers in order for this team to be somewhat competitive next year.
And here's the other thing. It honestly might benefit us, and we'll talk about it when we get to the tournament. But, like, I hope we've talked to him. I don't know what NCAA rules and regulations are, but like, I hope we're hiring Morehead State's head coach right out of the tournament. Like, whenever they lose, I want like 12 hours later him to be announced to come to SIU because you're right. We got to get on the transfer market. Mm-hmm. We've got to get on the recruiting market while there's players still available. Yeah. If we wait on this and we sit on it for too long, we're going to be in a real bad position.
But I want to bring up kind of the question of like, whoever comes in as a coach, right, is going to be looking for recruits. Would we prefer them to be looking at recruits that are young and fresh, freshmen, sophomores, that, you know, I guess what I'm saying is, should we be looking at recruits that we would expect to not be put us into contention next season or just put us into contention in the long run? Or should we look at older recruits, I guess, that maybe would put us into more contention this upcoming season?
I think we really highlight bringing guys back. I think we highlight bringing a lot of the younger guys back on this team. Because here's the thing. You're probably not going to bring Ferguson back, right? He's a redshirt junior. He probably loved Mullins. Like, yeah. I think that would maybe cause troubles in the locker room. Because if he doesn't like something that he really liked about Mullins and this guy does it differently, whatever. But I think, you know, you really emphasize getting Kennard Davis back. I think you really try and bring a lot of... I mean, heck, if we hire the Morehead State guy, maybe there's some returning players in that team. This is a team that went to the tournament, right? Mm-hmm. Like, they're good. I mean, if we could bring them in. But I think the main emphasis has to be transfers because there's really not all that many high school guys left. A lot of them have committed to at this point.
It's true.
So the main emphasis for this next year, expect to see a whole lot of new faces. That's what I would say. One last thing in regards to the coaches that I felt like is important to mention, right? I've been talking a lot about the Morehead State guy. He very well could not be our coach, right? I have no idea. But are there any characteristics that you guys really want in the head coach, whether personality or maybe in terms of game planning and scheme? Is there anything that you would love to have in the next SIU men's basketball coach?
I think there's no excuse. You were talking about, like, what kind of players do we want, right? I think there's no excuse, especially in this age of the transfer portal where there's zero guardrails on anything. You can do whatever you want, right? Mm-hmm. There's no excuse for us to not have a winning mindset starting next year because of the transfer portal. He can bring every good player that he has that has eligibility left with him, whoever that guy is. Let's say it's the Morehead State guy. There's no excuse for us to start winning. So that's my expectation heading into next year, depending on who we get, is there's just win now.
All right. So is there anything you're looking for?
I know this is kind of odd, but I want somebody who, and this might even sound like I'm taking a shot at Brian Mullins, but somebody who has better press conferences, I guess.
Oh, I was going to say the same thing. That's why I want to talk
that's
about
a real concern, but yet it's like, doesn't have anything to do with on the court, but I just want like real answers, real honest answers, I guess, but also mix it in with a little bit of professionality like Brian Mullins did. I feel like, I don't know, Brian Mullins' conferences were just so boring to listen to, and the sound bites weren't the greatest ever to us as journalists.
Yeah, as journalists, I don't want to get too mean, but the sound
bites just weren't the greatest. So
my favorite. I think you brought up a good point because I wanted to talk about it too, where it definitely seems like he had a really close relationship with a lot of his players. Obviously, all of them left after he's gone, and he was pretty animated on the sideline, right? So you can't say that he lacked passion. But boy, like you said, those press conferences, talk about monotone. I think Brian Mullins might be part robot. I gotta be honest with you. I think, like, just you know what I mean, like in a way, like he, but he kind of. You just talk, and then, you kind of talk like this, and then you do this. And I know it's part of the gig, right? As a coach, you kind of can't be honest with the media. But I hope that we bring in somebody, right, a little more captivating, a la Nick Hill at Allen, right? boy. Once again, I don't want to seem like taking shots at Ryan Wills here, but
Yeah.
I want to see some personality.
Yeah,
Can I get
a little bit
to
of swag maybe too?
Yeah, a little bit of swagger.
I don't-
Let me talk to somebody and have them be able to like.
Okay, I want somebody who can like take control of the room, I guess.
Yes.
Very easily.
Yes.
You know, like
There's a
Ed
difference.
Allen.
There's a difference between having a good relationship with your players and then also being like a real figure when you walk into a room.
Yeah.
And I wasn't in the locker room. I don't know. You know, it's kind of how it goes. But at the same time, I think there could have been a little more. You know, I think it goes without being said. I'm not going to take any shots at him because he seems like a great guy. He seems very nice. Like that's all.
Yeah.
That's all a part of it. But
I totally agree.
yeah, I think that in regards to scheme, I just want somebody creative with offense. I just really want. Let's play. We don't need to play fast. I mean, it would be awesome to play fast.
You play something that doesn't look like it's stalling half the time.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
Like we kind of like looked like Virginia sometimes.
Yes.
We were like the Virginia from Missouri.
Well, we were better than that, but it still looked like that.
True. So, okay, that's our little next coach's wish list. I'm sure, hopefully, by the next pod we'll have an announcement for who ends up being our next head coach. So, let's go ahead and move on to March Madness.
Okay.
Let's get out of Arch. Let's add the M because we're in it right now. It's March.
It's March!
It is March.
This is March. This is March. Anything can happen in March. What are some more corny? What are some more corny sayings?
I don't get a physical bracket.
Here.
Oh, there was 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what's we gotta.
Oh, okay.
This is just the one that I've already filled out.
So I'm gonna read them off very quickly. Actually, we'll take turns.
Yeah.
We'll take turns. So we're gonna do superlatives. Okay. So we're gonna name every team in each region, and then we're going to do best. What do we decide? Best. Okay. Upset.
Yes.
Cinderella, who we have going to the Final Four.
Yep.
Which good team doesn't meet expectations, and then me and Jay Cruz want to talk about who we think some of the best players in this bracket are. We'll talk about some of the players.
And then we'll make an Inside Sports consensus bracket.
And then we will make
as we talk about it.
An Inside Sports consensus bracket. So let's start the East region. So I'm gonna name all the teams really quickly. Number 1, UConn plays Stetson. FAU plays Northwestern. San Diego State plays UAB. Auburn plays Yale. BYU plays
Duquesne.
Oh my gosh, I had it down.
Duquesne.
I had it
Talking
down,
about it.
but then we kept on saying Duquesne so much before the show was a
Duquesne,
joke.
Sorry.
And I was like, oh my gosh. Illinois, our very own Illinois, versus Morehead State. Washington State versus Missouri Valley Drake,
Yep.
who we'll be rooting for. I know I will.
Yeah.
And then Iowa State versus South Dakota State. So first, let's go with, we all have our own individual brackets.
Correct.
So, does anybody have a big upset that they would like to share?
What?
Jay Cruz, you'll start us off. We'll go in a line.
So just in one game, or like a team that is going further than they should?
Nope, that's a Cinderella. So we're gonna
Okay.
upset.
I don't really have any huge upsets in the first round. I would say my biggest upset is Drake, but I think they're even favored in the game, so I'm not really. From a seed standpoint, it's an upset. That's the only one I have though in the first round.
Right. Do you have the same thing?
Not the same game, but I have Duquesne
Hey.
winning against BYU, and they are currently winning against BYU.
Number
so let's
11 Duquesne is really putting it on the number 6 BYU Cougars, folks. I've got something fun.
Let me hear it.
I've got a fun one.
Mm-hmm.
Morehead State
Ooh.
upsetting U of I.
I like that.
I think Morehead State. I'm definitely gonna be sure to tune in. One, because U of I. Shout out to my brother and my girlfriend, and also because Morehead State is gonna. It would be cool if we got some guy that coaches in the tournament. I think that'd be good for us. So,
yeah.
but he also very well likely could not be our next head coach.
If he wins against the U of I, he probably doesn't get hired by SIU. He probably goes somewhere bigger, you think, right? No?
I
don't
heard
think so.
through the grapevine that Morehead State's facilities are like way worse than ours even.
Oh. Yeah. I mean, they're in the
So,
Ohio Valley. Missouri Valley's better.
We are a huge.
That's true.
We're actually a huge.
Oh my gosh! Why? Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So that's going to be my biggest upset. Let's talk about biggest Cinderella. Well, okay. Let's do this one next. Do you guys have a team that doesn't? No. Let's do Cinderella first.
Cinderella.
So, do you guys have a Cinderella going very far in this one?
What is this like? Is a Cinderella pretty much like a 4 seed or lower, or maybe like a 6 seed or lower? Like what's your criteria for a Cinderella in like a specific region?
I think it's more just picking anybody besides. I don't know. Just make up your own definition.
Yeah, sure. So
make up your own.
So here's mine. This is not going well so far. I have BYU going to the Elite Eight.
So let me guess. So you have them beating U of I.
Correct.
And then you have them beating. Do you have Iowa State there or Drake?
Yeah, Iowa.
Okay.
Iowa State. Yeah.
Okay.
Because they played Iowa State pretty well. They're in the same conference now, which is weird to say. Mm-hmm. They played them pretty well and lost a really close one in Iowa State, so I like that matchup for them.
Right. Joey B? I'm looking at yours.
I just have the top 4 in the Elite Eight, and I mean, those are the highest 4 seeds you can have, so no, I don't. That's the simple answer.
Right. My Cinderella, I guess you could say BYU in the Sweet 16. That's really it. I think this bracket is mostly chalk. Gotta be honest with you.
It's very top heavy, I would say.
And it's so top heavy. I mean, and we can talk about that at the end of the show. I think we should. Because they did not do a good job with this bracket.
No.
This is probably the worst one in many years. But that's Josh Hubbard right there. Josh Hubbard, Mississippi State stud. Shout out. Anyways, thanks for watching the show, Josh. I think it's mostly chalk. I think Auburn will give UConn a run for its money.
Yeah, that was the toughest game in the whole entire region.
But I think KD Johnson shoots 6 of 21 in that game.
Yes.
And ruins it for them.
You know my love for Auburn. I've been touting them all season.
I love Bruce Pearl. He's my favorite head coach in college basketball.
I do just worry about the KD Johnson game where he just shoots them out of it pretty much. I do think that they are a team that can really make a run and even win a national championship. But that game, you just know it's coming at some point, and I hope it doesn't come early, but it'll probably come against UConn. So.
I wholeheartedly agree. So, let's talk about this. What's next?
Final
I almost
four.
forget. Oh, no. Team that doesn't really perform well. So yours is Iowa State, because you think Iowa State loses to BYU. Is that correct?
I have Iowa State in Sweet 16, though, so I feel like that's okay.
It is okay.
I think that's all right. I would say Illinois would be my team that I think will underperform. They just don't play any D.
Oh, that's also true.
They don't play any D.
Because you have them losing to BYU as well.
So I would say Illinois.
I mean, mine's the same as yours. I have U of I
losing
first round, so.
Yeah.
Joey B?
What's with the hate against the U of I, man? Marcus Mask?
I know. Shout out Marcus Mask. He's probably their best player, but.
There's nothing wrong with them. It's just the way they play.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah.
So.
And I know my parents as Illini fans, they always underperform, so I shouldn't expect them to go farther, but in my bracket, I have them in the Elite Eight. So.
Yeah.
Wow.
You also, you don't have them doing anything. But this is a region that I think is chalk. Like, I feel like you're totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
Special players, right? Who's going to be the catalyst for these guys? Who do you think in this region is most likely to pop off, if you will?
I mean, he's been popping off all year already, but I mean, I was going to say Tristan Newton. I mean, he's
so
good.
good.
To Juwan Newton, by the way.
Shout out to SIU alum, Juwan Newton.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tristan Newton, guard for UConn, first team All-American. Stud. He's just exactly what you want in a college guard. That's the thing. Kind of what it comes down to. I think I want to say Tucker DeVries so bad.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to really struggle
with
with Iowa State's length. And also Washington State. I didn't realize Washington State, second tallest team in NCAA.
All teams typically don't do well in tourney, though.
They usually don't.
Means slower.
Exactly. But Tucker, he's had trouble with guys that are his size. In Missouri Valley, he can kind of do his own thing. I think the real kind of factor, like you said, Tristan Newton, but I want to go different. I want to be different than you. Cam Spencer. I'm a huge Cam Spencer guy. Also a guard at University of UConn. I think he's going to be big. So let's say our final four picks then.
Yeah.
UConn.
Kind of figured.
So UConn's going to the Final Four.
I mean, they are just so good. I mean, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, they are so good. So
do we want to fill out the consensus bracket real quick? We'll just go region by region on that.
sure,
Okay.
sure, we can do that.
Rapid fire. No explanations needed.
Just 3, 2, 1.
3,
go.
2, 1.
3, 2, 1.
Northwestern. 1, 2, 3.
FAU.
Northwestern.
I've got FAU.
We're gonna go FAU.
I'll be the tiebreaker in each one if we need it.
Okay,
San Diego State, UAB. 3, 2, 1.
San Diego State.
San Diego State also.
Okay.
Sorry.
Let's just screw the countdown. Let's just go. I'll read the game and then let me know. Auburn, Yale.
Auburn.
Yep. BYU, Duquesne.
Duquesne.
BYU.
Okay.
Illinois, Morehead State.
Morehead
Illinois.
State.
I want to agree with Cole, but I'm going to go with Illinois.
Come on, just put Morehead State. Look fun.
Drake, Washington State, Drake.
Drake.
Iowa State, South Dakota State.
Iowa State.
Okay, so first game we have at the top, UConn, FAU. We already have UConn. San Diego State, Auburn.
Auburn.
Auburn, yeah.
Auburn. BYU, Illinois.
BYU.
Illinois.
I'm going to go BYU.
Okay.
Drake, Iowa State.
Iowa State.
Iowa State.
Iowa State.
And I really want Drake there.
So again, like as the teams move on, it'll be the consensus. So we may not
Right.
have the exact same one we need.
Exactly.
We already have UConn winning, and also I'm just going to skip their games. BYU, Iowa State. I went BYU.
Iowa State.
Iowa State.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
All right, there's the East region. Take
There's
us
the East
to
region.
the South.
Okay, we're gonna go across here.
Oh, I didn't know.
So no, you're fine. Biggest upset. Do you guys have a biggest upset on your bracket?
I do.
Let's go.
James Madison
Ooh.
beats Wisconsin.
Wow.
Where
Well-
my Green Bay Packers ride.
Ours actually looks just about the same on this one, Joey B.
I really wanted to pick Vermont against Duke.
What? That's not your biggest upset?
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna say.
I forgot about that. Western Kentucky beats Marquette.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I actually like that a lot.
That's been the most
Western-
picked 15
I did
Yes.
see, and that's the reason why I picked it. So
There must be something there. Right?
there's something there.
There must be some magic there.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
That is freaking.
I like Marquette's team, but they also never do well in the tournament. So what can you
That's
do?
why.
J. Cruz.
My biggest upset in the first round.
It doesn't have to be first round. I want to make that clear.
So just in general, well, but then we get into Cinderella territory, right?
True. Okay. Yes.
My biggest
yes,
first
yes.
round upset is, I guess, NC State over Texas Tech. Give me the Wolfpack. ACC champions, which is freaking wild.
So you got Wisconsin beating James Madison.
The ACC, yes,
Okay. Mine is going to be James Madison over Wisconsin.
very popular, and I could totally see that happening.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay, biggest up or Cinderella run. Mine's not much of a Cinderella run, but I do have James Madison advancing past Wisconsin and, unfortunately, beating Duke. I think Duke could win the game easy. It's about 50-50, but I want my expectations to be low for this tournament, and I can believe it. So that's I have James Madison going to the Sweet
The Dukes
16.
beat Duke.
The Dukes beating Duke. And also, I gotta say, Wisconsin, James Madison, Duke, and Vermont, no matter what, that's gonna be a good Jersey matchup
That's a
game.
great region.
Like, you don't have any, like, of the similar colors. Like,
Yeah.
they're all different. I love it.
Yeah.
I have both James Madison and Florida in my Elite Eight.
Whoa. That is,
Sweet 16. Sweet 16.
No, that's Elite Eight.
That's my Elite Eight.
No, it's not. That's your Sweet 16.
They can't play in the Sweet 16.
This is the.
No.
Oh,
I
you mean
know,
he
but
has
he's
them
got
going.
James Madison. That's the Elite 8. This is the Sweet
Oh
16.
well, then I'm screwed up.
You're fine,
Yeah,
you're fine.
in the Sweet 16,
Yeah,
I
you're
have
good.
Houston.
I thought you meant you
or,
had them
excuse
playing
me.
each other. Because the only reason they can play each other would
Yeah.
be in the
Right.
I have James Madison and Florida in my Sweet 16.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
clarified.
Got it.
Yeah. I think that's good. A lot of people like Florida. So I think.
Yeah.
And a lot of people like James Madison.
Especially if they play Western Kentucky. That's Joey B's on something.
You might be
J.
on
Cruz.
something. I don't like Florida because their center just got hurt in the SEC semifinals on
You could
Saturday.
hear it. You could
You could
hear
it.
his
It was
leg
a Kevin
break.
Ware-esque injury.
Oh,
Now I have to look it
the
up.
Colorado Buffaloes. I'm with you on the Marquette thing, but I do have Marquette beating Western Kentucky. I have Colorado Buffaloes going to the Sweet 16. They have 3 NBA players on their team.
They
Yeah.
do.
Beating Kentucky?
What?
Or excuse me, I'm sorry. I was
I'm
reading
beating
Oakland.
Marquette.
I'm so dumb.
Losing
Yeah.
to the Kentucky Wildcats, who I believe are going to the Elite Eight and the Final Four. Now we're up, the other part.
Okay, so let's spoil it.
The other part. Well, I just want to say the other part where my bracket gets interesting. I think the Wisconsin Badgers are going to the Elite Eight. Houston is injury riddled. This is the injury riddled bracket in my opinion. That would be like the name I'd put on it. Marquette hurt. Houston hurt. Florida hurt. Those are the 3 teams that people before this past weekend probably would have had going far in this region. I'm going to go with the Wisconsin Badgers. I love the way they played in the Big Ten tournament. So
that's a Cinderella run.
I have them going to the Elite Eight because a lot of people think they're going to lose the first game, and they might. I could be completely wrong.
Right.
That's why I didn't have them going to the Final Four. But I'm going to stick with them in the Elite Eight. I don't trust Houston. I don't think their tallest guy is 6'7".
I was going to say.
Wisconsin's got size.
Let's talk about
And AJ Stewart.
underperforming. I think Houston. I still have Houston in my Elite Eight, but only because I think the path for them is easier.
Sure.
And I think if Duke beats James Madison, which is very likely, I think Duke beats Houston.
Yeah.
I think Houston doesn't shoot it particularly well. They have an incredible defense. They have the best defense ever. Like, they're so good.
Yeah.
But they just don't shoot it very well. They got a lot of guys that are kind of little. I'm not gonna say shot chucker because that sounds disrespectful, but the ball don't go in as much as you think for a good team.
Bless you.
Man, sorry. Excuse me.
But I know Joey B differs because we do have a difference in our Final Four. So who do we have going to our Final Four? You said you have Kentucky.
I have Kentucky.
I have to tell the folks that I have Kentucky as well.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Roll daily. That's
so-
what I'm talking about. We're 2 for 2 so far. You had UConn and Kentucky.
We are.
So-
You're not
Imagine
stupid.
if we
You
had-
got Houston.
Well, yeah, I know,
Houston's
but that
good.
means Houston
okay.
on the consensus bracket.
That's
Houston's
not, no, that's
not
not
gonna be
true.
there.
That's not true.
That is true. On the consensus bracket.
We have to go game by game, though.
I know, but we both have Kentucky.
Okay, now I'm just confused.
Oh, that's true.
So,
okay, he's
yeah.
right. I apologize.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me write Kentucky down. Give me a couple players, Cole Daly.
So, I think a lot of obvious ones, right? I think there's so many that kind of define this bracket. So Duke, if Duke makes a run, it's going to be Jared McCain, and Kyle Filipowski needs to muscle up on defense.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to. I think we got DJ Burns in this side of the bracket, and I hope they beat Texas Tech. I think that's going to be really fun.
JB, surely you've seen some DJ Burns stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, he looks like an offensive lineman.
For Marquette, I've been very public about my love for Oso Ighodaro.
Yeah.
If Oso Ighodaro can, holds that defensive fort down for Marquette, there's a good chance Marquette. For me, they played Kentucky, but I know for you guys, was it Colorado and Florida?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So, but when I think about Final Four runs, it's going to be Reed Shepherd. I think Rob Dillingham hits a buzzer beater at some point. I just got a feeling.
Yep.
And I think, this Kentucky team, I want to save a little bit for the Final Four because there's other really important players in Kentucky that are going to come in factor later. So, do you want to go diagonal or do you want to just go straight down to the Midwest?
We got to do the consensus first.
Okay,
So I
consensus.
assume we all have Houston beating Longwood.
So we got Houston being Longwood.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
A&M, Nebraska.
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 Yes.
Wisconsin, JMU. You both have JMU.
JMU.
correct?
JMU.
All right.
Let's do it.
JMU. Duke, Vermont.
Duke.
Duke. Texas Tech, NC State.
NC
Texas
State.
Tech.
NC State.
Ah.
Come on, JB. Get it right. DJ Burns.
That's right.
Florida, Colorado.
What? We're skipping one?
Well, Kentucky. We.
Oh,
We
yeah.
already have Kentucky.
Duh.
Florida, Colorado.
Florida.
I got
Colorado. I got Colorado.
Yeah. Cody Williams. Shout out
Right.
to him for absolutely being terrible last
Yeah,
night.
he did nothing.
Marquette, Kentucky.
Marquette.
Western Kentucky.
I love the pick, JB, but I do have Marquette. Houston, Nebraska.
Houston.
Houston.
JMU and Duke.
JMU.
We both have JMU.
I cannot believe that you both have JMU in 316. Colorado, Marquette.
I got Marquette.
Colorado.
I've got Colorado as well. Look at that.
Wow.
And then Houston, JMU to face Kentucky and lose.
Houston.
Houston.
You want to pick JMU.
Wait, who do we have? Oh, Houston. Yeah.
Because we have Kentucky.
Yeah.
And then, all right, there we go.
Okay.
Midwest.
Okay. Biggest upset. What do you guys got?
Grambling State beat. No, I'm just kidding.
It's going to happen.
Again and again and again.
The Samford Bulldogs are going to beat the Kansas Jayhawks. And it's probably really popular.
It is very popular.
But I'm going to...
Especially with Kevin McCullough ruled out for the game.
Yes, and Dickinson will be hurt too. Even if he plays, he will be playing hurt.
Yep.
So I like the Samford Bulldogs to beat the Kansas Jayhawks.
They shoot the ball so well.
They do shoot the ball very well.
Gotta love Samford.
Kansas has no depth.
This is also my non-upset bracket, so I'm
Oh.
sorry. This is boring.
Yeah, you have no
That's
upset.
okay.
His biggest
No
upset is TCU
Creighton.
over Utah State.
Yep. The 9 over the 8.
Oh, in the first round, yeah. Sorry.
I was gonna say,
I guess Creighton over Tennessee later on isn't a big upset either.
No.
But
No.
yeah,
it's all right.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Last year's lower right quadrant, I remember, the only upset before the Sweet 16 was Arkansas beating Kansas, who Bill Self didn't even coach. So that was a very chalk bracket last year as well.
Very sharp bracket. So, let's go to Cinderella ones. And boy,
This is going to be interesting.
this I have a lock. I am locking this one for the fans at home.
I think you and I might be the same.
I hope it isn't, because then it makes me seem.
Well,
I want to be unique.
Well, I do too, but sometimes
Shakers say it.
great minds think alike because the Oregon Ducks are going to the Elite Eight.
Boy, do you wish we had the same one, because we do not.
Oh no!
I actually have two Cinderellas. And they're not big Cinderellas, but I will tell you what. South Carolina. I'm just going to tell you how my bracket looks.
No, don't tell me you have them going.
South Carolina will
They
beat
stink.
Oregon.
No, they
South
stink.
Carolina will then beat Creighton
No, Cole Daly.
and get to the Sweet 16. I think they are the super random team this year. I think they're the team that, like, they're just not even good. And then they
Jesus.
somehow get there. Or it's like FAU, where, like, Michi Johnson will just, oh my gosh, Michi Johnson had 25 against Creighton. It could very well not happen, and Oregon is probably going to win the game. I could totally see that. But there's weird stuff happens. But they are not my Cinderella. Because my Cinderella will beat Texas, and then will beat Tennessee,
Colorado State.
and then will beat South Carolina in the Sweet 16 and make their way to the Elite Eight to play Purdue.
Wow. Go Rams.
Colorado State, there's always a year where the play-in has a phenomenal time. They go on a great run.
Yep.
And Colorado State, say what you will, right? Virginia, not a good basketball team. Everybody knows that. But no matter what, their defense is always relatively solid. And putting up 69 points against a Virginia defense, that's not nothing.
No.
For when you're a Mountain West school, I think Colorado State has the guy in Isaiah Stevens. He's my guy who helps the team get there all the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what it comes down to for me. I got Colorado State making a run.
JB.
the Creighton Blue Jays will be in the Final Four.
Ooh.
Oh,
I like that.
wow.
That's a good pick.
I like that.
Over Purdue.
Wow. I like that. So
Ryan Kalkbrenner versus Zach Edey.
that's something America
One
needs.
heck of a matchup.
America needs that
I
one.
don't know what the refs would do with themselves. They would just
I think it'd be a foul every time down the floor.
every single time down the floor.
Yeah.
They'd both be fouled out by halftime.
So let's just move on to Final Four.
Yep.
J. Cruz, who do you have?
I do have the Purdue Boilermakers making
I
the final.
also have Purdue Boilermakers. I'm sorry.
And I don't even think they're really that great of a team.
No, I don't
But I think their path is going to be really, really easy.
I think it's the
I
easiest.
have them going against Utah State, Gonzaga, and then Oregon. Now, Oregon's center, and Folly Dante,
Nafali Dante.
freaking dog. And he's basically the reason that they won the Pac-12 tournament. He's the reason that they're here. He was injured for most of the season. But since he's come back, he's almost averaging 20 and 10 on the season.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a dog, but I do think Edey will probably get the best of him.
Very Tshiebwe-like, I feel.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, as you know, I have Oregon losing first round, so.
Shut up.
Colorado State, I think the main player for them is going to be Isaiah Stevens, obviously, the leading scorer. I think Colorado State's got a really. Here's the only thing: I don't like them playing Texas because Texas is pretty loaded. Like, they didn't have the best season, but a lot of guys: Dylan Disu, Max Asmus, Tyrese Hunter, Dylan Mitchell, all those guys really highly touted. I have Purdue making my Final Four. I think Zach Edey is just kind of Zach Edey it up, and we kind of just have to be ready for it. So let's get to our consensus. We've got Purdue winning. Joey B, next game, TCU.
Wait, which one are we on? I'm
Utah
sorry.
State,
I'm
Midwest.
losing your track.
Midwest, you're fine.
TCU against Purdue?
Yes. No.
Against
No.
Utah State.
TCU against Utah State.
First game.
Oh, duh. I'm sorry. We're starting this. I'm
Yes.
dumb.
Consensus.
TCU.
Yep. J. Cruz, you just say it, because then we can just both.
I have Utah State.
Well, I know, but you say
Who do you have?
TCU.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize. Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Next game, Gonzaga McNeese.
Gonzaga.
That's a very
Which is
popular.
We
upset
all
pick.
have Gonzaga, don't we? Do you have McNeese?
Yeah, Gonzaga.
Yeah, but a lot of people have been really high.
A
A lot of people are like McNeese.
Kansas, Samford.
Samford.
I'm going Samford.
This is gonna be the decider.
South Carolina, Oregon. You already know where Cole and I stand. Joey, break the tie.
South Carolina.
Come on. Creighton, Akron.
Creighton.
Texas and Colorado State.
Colorado State.
I've got Texas. Sorry, Cole.
You got Texas?
Yes, I'm sorry.
What?
Because hook 'em horns, baby.
So you're playing a team that goes far as Colorado.
Colorado and Oregon. Oregon in the Elite Eight.
But they're not a play-in team.
Yeah.
Because every year there's always a play-in team that does something.
Colorado Sweet 16 for me. Tennessee St. Peter's. Probably don't need to talk about that one very much.
Wow, I hate that.
It's a bad matchup.
No.
Wait, what do you mean?
Just, ugh.
Sorry.
It's not my bracket. I'm just kidding.
Sorry, not sorry. Gonzaga and Samford is the next
Gonzaga.
matchup. I'd go Zags.
Gonzaga.
South Carolina, Creighton.
South Carolina.
Creighton.
I'm going to have to go Creighton because I just cannot stand the fact that South Carolina is even in the second round. Texas, Tennessee.
Texas.
Tennessee.
Sorry, Khalid.
What? You have Tennessee going to... Really?
You got to pick with your head, not your heart.
They're
Texas,
not good. That's the problem.
Texas
They're not good.
Is a great team that cannot win games.
Absolutely.
So
They
they're
have
not
an
going to
awful
win
coach.
games. Yes, they do have an awful coach.
But Tennessee's not good.
So this means
Tennessee's not good.
that our Sweet 16 matchup.
They're not good.
Well, then pick Creighton then.
I was just
in their
gonna say.
matchup against Tennessee, and I know Joey already does. So
I was going to say, I'm
against
picking
Tennessee.
Creighton. I just... Wow. Okay.
All right, so
I didn't know you were high on Tennessee like
we've
that.
got UConn, Kentucky.
Do you
and
pick
Purdue
Tennessee
so far.
against Creighton? No, you're picking Oregon against Tennessee.
Correct.
Ugh. All right.
Correct. And Fali Dante's going to go ham in that game.
Yeah, he will.
If
Tennessee
the
sucks.
game happens, hopefully it does. There we go. Final region.
I can't wait to show you mine. You're looking at it now.
I'm not gonna look.
You're not gonna look.
I don't peek. I don't peek. Okay, biggest upset on this side of the bracket. What do we have?
Dayton beats. Well, I'm sorry. Just in the first round.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Stick,
save that
Okay.
for tomorrow.
Okay.
stick to first round.
First round. Biggest upset.
The Grand Canyon Antelopes are going to defeat the St. Mary's Gales.
I have that one too.
Yeah.
But I do have a lot of candidates. So I've been I don't know if I've been very public about this, but I have picked Colgate in the past 3 years to do an upset, and they get close every single year, and then they blow the lead. I don't think they'll do that against Baylor, but I just want to give a shout out to Colgate, because every year, up until now, I have picked them to upset whoever they're playing.
Wow.
I really want Long Beach State to beat Arizona, because one, I don't think Arizona's very good, and I think Long Beach State, it would be really awesome because they fired their coach, and then he went on to win. So I think it's just a funny scenario. So I just wanted to throw those other names out there. What's your biggest upset?
Well, I don't have an upset in the first round, but I definitely do in the second one.
Okay, this is where I'm going to make fun of you, because you are all chalk.
I'm all chalk.
Aside from Western Kentucky, you are all chalk.
What does that even mean?
That means it's just, higher seed, they win.
I mean, you know me. I'm not really
You're
the biggest
probably-
college
You
basketball
gotta be right,
fan.
though.
You're probably
I gotta pick a couple upsets.
Listen, I got Colorado State going to my Elite Eight. I have South Carolina in my Sweet 16. I'm going to be wrong more than you are, but I do it for the love.
I have a team in the Elite Eight that's about to lose first round. You know.
Right.
Dayton, I have going to
So yep. So your Cinderella run is Dayton.
a Cinderella run.
Go to the Final Four?
No,
Elite Eight?
Elite Eight. You say it.
I have Dayton going to the Final Four.
Oh what? Oh, it does have the
my
Final Four.
gosh.
Whoa.
That is a Cinderella run if I've ever seen one.
Deron Holmes leads Dayton. They shoot the 3-ball really well.
They do shoot the 3-ball really well.
I love teams that shoot.
And they even said that they shoot the 3-ball really well in like the description here.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like,
There you go.
That's not the
Recipe for
worst.
success.
It's not the worst one I've ever heard. I like it. My Cinderella run is. So I have big upsets that aren't really Cinderella runs, but they're upsets. So I'm just gonna go through them. I think Michigan State beats Mississippi State and then upsets North Carolina. I think North Carolina is the 1 seed to fall. There's usually a 1 seed that falls. I think North Carolina would be very advantageous for North Carolina to get a 2 seed as opposed to the 1 seed, because especially getting Michigan State, they're a tournament team. They always have been. I will not be watching that game because these are my 2 teams that I hate more than honestly life itself.
Yeah.
It's the hatred in college basketball. It's North Carolina 1A, Michigan State 1B. I will not watch that game, but I think Michigan State pulls it out. I have Alabama beating Charleston, Grand Canyon, Michigan State.
No, come on.
And Alabama beating Baylor to go to the final.
Alabama in the Final Four.
And I don't even think Bama's that good.
That's disgusting.
But I think madness happens, and I'm gonna go with my heart.
That is disgusting.
I think Mark Sears is just a dog. He's him. They got Nick Pringle. He's fine. Grant Nelson, North Dakota State transfer. Listen, I don't think, I'm not certain of this, but weird stuff happens, and so I'm gonna put some weird stuff down.
Wow.
I also have Dayton upsetting Arizona in the round of 32.
Wow.
Yeah. I just don't think Arizona's that good.
I am completely the opposite of you guys. I actually have Nevada beating Dayton in the first round.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take them out
I can see
immediately.
that.
That's juicy.
I'm going to take them out immediately. I have the New Mexico Lobos beating Clemson, beating Baylor to go to the Sweet 16, and then Cole Daly. I have the Michigan State Spartans beating Mississippi State, beating North Carolina, beating Alabama, losing to Arizona in the Elite Eight. Though I pick Arizona every single year. I can't rid myself of them. 2 years ago, I had them in the championship. They lost in
I was so upset.
Sweet 16.
I was so upset.
Last year, I had them.
I think
in
I
the
had them as
championship
my
game, and they lost to Princeton in the first round.
Yep.
And I'm going back to the well this year, but this time we're only going to the Final Four. I say only as if it's not incredibly far, but I'm going with Arizona again.
So we all, for the first region, we all have a different Final Four pick.
Dayton, Alabama, and Arizona.
Dayton, Alabama,
Wow.
and Arizona.
Oh,
Let's see how this goes.
So no one has too much faith in UNC, aside from you having them going to the Elite Eight.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all have UNC winning the first round without
So let's go.
question, I'm sure.
Yeah, let's go UNC,
Mississippi State, Michigan State.
Michigan State.
Mississippi?
Sorry, Jody, I have Michigan State.
That's okay.
St. Mary's, Grand Canyon.
Grand Canyon.
Grand Canyon.
I had St. Mary's, but it doesn't matter.
Alabama, Charleston.
Alabama.
Bama. Clemson, Nuevo Mexico.
Clemson.
New Mexico.
New Mexico.
See, everybody's picking New Mexico over Clemson, though, and that makes me nervous. Even more than McNeese.
They just have a better team. New Mexico is horribly underseeded. They should be at least an 8 or a 9 in my opinion.
Probably.
They got screwed over.
Probably.
Baylor, Colgate.
Baylor.
So you're not going back to the well, Cole Daly with Colgate again.
No, I wish I could. I love Colgate.
Dayton, Nevada.
Dayton.
All right, I'm not even going to give input on that one. And then Arizona, Long Beach State.
Arizona.
Shout out to Dan Monson, by the way. He's a lame duck head coach who got fired, and Long Beach State made the tournament after he gets told he's going to get fired.
Right.
An incredible story.
Awesome.
North Carolina, Michigan State.
Michigan State.
We both have Michigan State. Look at that. Grand Canyon, Alabama.
Bama.
Bama.
New Mexico, Baylor. I have New Mexico. But
I got Baylor.
You both have Baylor,
got
so
Baylor.
there's Baylor. And then Dayton, Arizona.
Dayton.
For some reason,
Dayton's
you both have
winning
Dayton
out.
beating
Dayton's
Arizona.
winning out.
And I don't understand that. This is an incredible Sweet 16. Michigan State and Alabama. I've got Michigan State. Cole Daly's got Alabama. Break the tie, JV.
Alabama.
Oh,
I don't like Michigan State.
And then Baylor versus Dayton.
I've got Baylor.
I think if that matchup happened, I'd pick Baylor.
Well, Dayton. But, I mean, it doesn't matter. So
I'm going Baylor.
Baylor versus Bama. It is Cole Daly's Elite Eight. He found a way to get his Elite Eight in there. But instead of Bama, I'm going to go Baylor.
Baylor or Bama?
Yeah.
Baylor.
And so Baylor is making it the Final Four. All right, boys.
I could see it. I went back and forth on Bama and Baylor.
This would be
My only thing is I just don't think Baylor's all that great either.
They're really young.
I think Bama somehow just finds their way into this game because it's like, oh my gosh, wait, okay, so they got an easy schedule in regards to Charleston, then they get Grand Canyon, then they get Michigan State, and then they shoot the game of their life because they're a team that just shoots threes and gets layups.
Yeah.
So Bama, all they're going to do is it's just going to be Mark Sears going to finish with 27, and Baylor's going to have no answer for it because they're just going to knock down all the threes and they sneak their way into the Final Four.
Can't wait.
So you have Dayton.
Yeah. How do we even break this tie?
You should be put on.
Wait, what time?
There's no time. You guys got Baylor
For the Final Four?
to the Final Four because you guys both picked Baylor.
Oh, yeah, duh.
Yeah.
So I've already talked at length about how I think Mark Sears is going to be the catalyst. I also think Grant Nelson, who isn't the best player in the world, gosh, he's so good.
Tyson Walker.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I hate him because was he an Iowa State guy? No, that was Tyrese Hunter.
No, he was Northeastern.
Yeah, Northeastern. But he's always been so solid for them. Is that Madi Sissoko?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely beating UNC. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. I talked at length about Mark Sears. I think Grant Nelson also plays a factor in that. For Baylor, I'm a big Ray J. Dennis guy. I think that's how they get to the Elite Eight there. For Dayton, watch out for Deron Holmes. I think he's a top 20 prospect in this year's draft. I like Deron Holmes a lot. For you have who's making it? Michigan State versus
In my bracket.
Yeah, in
Michigan
your
State
bracket.
versus Arizona in the Elite Eight.
So who do you think who's the catalyst that gets both those guys there, both those teams there?
I would say it's the best player in X Factor is interesting.
Exactly.
X Factor for Michigan State to me is if one of their centers can step up because they've got like 4 different centers that they use. All of them stink. They've recently started using Xavier Booker more though. He can kind of shoot the three.
I like Xavier. I think when Xavier Booker committed to Michigan State, my heart dropped because he could have been a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
But at Michigan State, they're not going to use him that way.
I am going to say that their X Factor is Madi Sissoko though. If he can step up, be that big presence inside. They've already got the great guard play. I think Tyson Walker is really, really good. So I like Madi Sissoko to be their X Factor.
Gotcha. For Arizona, I mean, you got them going to the Final Four. Is it just Caleb Love?
Caleb Love. I mean,
Dork.
I know he's a dork. During the regular season, he is... I don't even know if he really cares, honestly, but as soon as March Madness happens, he just turns into a different player. I think we'll see a lot of what we saw with North Carolina with him just stepping up. He's going to step up. I like Umar Ballo as well. If we do get an Umar Ballo versus Sissoko matchup, that'll be pretty interesting because they're both physically, like, basically the same person.
Right.
So that'll be a really cool matchup to see.
That would be. Okay, so I'm going to say my Final Four. Let's just go which we have for our Final Four, and then we'll have a consensus.
Yes.
So, J. Cruz, start with your Final Four.
My Final Four, UConn, Kentucky.
No, who's UConn playing?
UConn will play against Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky will play against Purdue.
Okay, who do you have?
UConn will play Dayton, and Houston will play Creighton.
I like yours. Aside from Dayton.
Dayton and Creighton.
But I think Houston and Creighton would be a fun matchup.
Yeah.
I have UConn playing Alabama, and I have Kentucky playing Purdue. So, let's get to our consensus. What do we have for our consensus?
Our consensus, first game, UConn versus Baylor. I would love to pick Baylor here. But I can't do it.
It's all Huskies,
It's
yeah.
UConn all the way. Sorry about it.
And then our consensus bracket, it's Kentucky and Purdue.
Kentucky
okay,
and Purdue.
I can't wait because we have the same one.
Yeah.
So who do you have in the championship?
I have Purdue beating Kentucky.
I have Kentucky.
Kentucky has no answer for Zach Edey.
I think
Purdue's guards play good enough defense to get them over the hump and stop Kentucky, who has really, really young, great players, but they're really, really young. Purdue's got a ton of experience. They play great defense. Give me Purdue.
I think you are completely wrong on the Edey factor because Edey will probably draw a lot of fouls, but they have Adu Thiero, Trey Edwards, that Lithuanian guy's name is Big Z.
Big Z,
they call him Big Z.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, there's someone else I'm forgetting. Aaron Bradshaw, they've got everything to throw at a big guy like him. They can have all 4 of them. They have 12 fouls to use on Zach Edey.
Mm-hmm.
They can have 4 of their guys fall out, and they got guys that just my turn, and then they just walk in. I think. Boy, I mean, I've been a Kentucky hater for years and years because they don't have the right teams. This is a team that I actually think is really, really quality and really, really good. I think Reed Shepherd, Dog, Dillingham. I don't want to sell my stock yet. I'm gonna hold. But I'm telling, I'm nervous about how this could go for him because if he doesn't shoot well in tournament,
they're gonna be out pretty quickly.
He could fall to 15.
Yeah.
Because his game is like that. I'm gonna go with Kentucky though. I think Kentucky's got a shot. So
JB needs to break the tie then. Kentucky or Purdue?
I cannot picture a Big Ten team being in the championship, so I have to pick Kentucky.
I love it.
Come on.
Love it.
Ridiculous.
Basically, what I'm learning is my bracket's the best.
I also just hate Purdue too, so
Fair enough.
Yeah. No one. You don't listen. What game would you rather watch? UConn Purdue or UConn Kentucky?
Well, I'd rather watch UConn Kentucky, but we're not picking it on watchability now, are we? So I guess that
watchability,
means,
are we?
10 years later, we get the exact same matchup in the Final Four.
Mm-hmm.
UConn and Kentucky, they played each other as the 7 and 8 seeds when Shabazz Napier and...
Was that Napier?
Yep.
And then they played, what, James Young and
James
Julius
Young,
Randle?
Julius Randle.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was 44. Poythress. Alex Poythress.
Oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
forgot about Alex Poythress.
Yeah, a bunch of crazy names we could rattle off. But
That
let's
is
get
funny.
to it. UConn and Kentucky for the Inside Sports
Nope.
National Championship.
Who do you have? So you have UConn and Purdue. Who do you have winning?
I have Purdue Boilermakers winning.
Oh my
March
god,
Madness.
are you serious?
Here's why. Again, I said it earlier. I don't think Purdue is the best team in this bracket. But they have by far the easiest road. UConn's going to have to go through FAU, who made the Final Four last year.
Yeah.
Auburn, who metrically is a top 5 team.
Yeah.
And even though they do have a guy that can shoot him out of the game, he can also win them the game.
Yep.
If he's on.
Yeah.
And then I just don't see a team like Iowa State is a team that's all defense, no offense. Illinois is a team that is all offense, no defense. BYU, as we're seeing here, I do have BYU in the Elite Eight, which is probably not going to happen anymore. But my thinking with them was that if they have one cold shooting night, they're done. Looks like they're having in the first round as opposed to the Elite Eight. But yeah, I mean,
We got Creighton and Akron on.
But when they're on, they're an incredible offense, right?
Yeah.
So, again, UConn's facing a lot of these weird archetype teams that if they're hot, they're going to win.
Okay, but they have a week. They have a week.
Well, and they're playing basically at home for all these games too. Like they're really close to home. I just think that they have a tougher road. I think the team they'll have. I think
Klingen and Zach Edey is going to be fun too.
that will be a really fun matchup.
Two big bodies.
Again, I have them in the freaking championship game, so it's not like
it's no disrespect to them.
No,
and I like you for doing something different.
And also, 25% of all brackets have UConn winning it all.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want to be the UConn guy because that means you basically have to get every other game right in order to win your bracket groups or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So
you kind of have to take long shots. I get it.
That was the thinking.
Big Ten homer. So who do you? So you have what? Is it Dayton and?
for my championship,
I'm just joking with you.
I have Houston. I wore red because my national champion pick is Houston against UConn.
I love that little ad there.
There you go.
I unfortunately am a part of the 25%. I think UConn. I think about how good their team was last year, and this year's team is even better. Like, they're so good.
I don't know about that. But
They're so good.
there's no Hunter Jackson on this team.
And there's no. I just had his name. What happened to him?
Jordan Hawkins.
Jordan Hawkins. Yeah. Or who won the Adama Sanogo?
Sonogo, yeah.
But Stephon Castle, good.
No, he's a dog.
Cam Spencer,
Dog.
dog.
Tristan Newton, dog.
Tristan Newton,
I mean, they have a
dog.
bunch of dogs, which is why I have them in
Alex-
the national championship.
Alex Caravan, dog.
Caravan's a dog. I mean, their whole team is great.
Donovan Clean, dog. I mean, they're
I don't think they have
so
the same
good.
depth, though.
This team, the greatest college basketball team that I'd say that I've ever watched in my lifetime. Like, when I got to the tournament, I said, yeah, they're going to win. The only other time I felt that way was with 2018 Villanova.
They just steamrolled everything.
Jalen Brunson, Dante DiVincenzo, Phil Booth,
Mm-hmm. Spellman on that team?
Spellman, and Pascal, and why can't I think it was Mikal Bridges. So that's how I feel about this UConn team, and I won my bracket that year because I picked Villanova,
There you go.
and I'm gonna hopefully win it again this year when I pick UConn.
How often?
I'm gonna be praying on that Colorado State run. That's how I'm gonna win.
How
on my
often
brackets.
does the most popular pick for the national champion win the national
Great
champion?
you asked that because I actually prepared some stats for today.
Awesome!
I just realized it because I haven't had my computer open, but I've got some stats for you. A little bit of trivia for Cole Daly as well.
Okay.
The last time the number one overall seed won the NCAA tournament
Was like
was Over 10 years ago.
Yeah, wasn't it like 14 years ago?
What team was that, Cole? The last number 1 seed, overall seed to win it. Maybe you would know what to do.
You said 14 years ago?
I said it was over 10 years ago.
So it was over 10.
It was between 10 and 20 years ago, I'll tell you that.
It wouldn't have been... So Kentucky... Wait, was it? You said it's over 10 years ago?
Over 10. That could be anywhere from 10 to 100 years. But I said 10 to 20 years ago.
10,
So think about a team from 2004 to 2014.
Can I give you 4, and then
Sure.
you tell me if one of them
I'll
are
tell
correct?
you if it was right.
I want to say 2008 Florida Gators.
No.
Or 2007, whatever it was. Whatever that Joakim Noah
Right.
and so it wasn't them. It wasn't 2010 Duke, was it?
No.
Okay.
They may have been, but they weren't the most recent.
You know, 2013, 2014 was when all those weird teams got in. It was like... Was it the Kansas Jayhawks?
No. They started keeping track of this in 2008, by the way, so that shrinks down your list.
That does shrink down my list. 10 years ago, so it's 2024, so it has to be 2014 and less. And you said they started keeping track in 2008?
Yeah. At least that I could find.
Dang. Number 1 seed.
You got 10 seconds.
Yeah, I know.
7, 6, 5.
I don't got it.
4.
I don't
Peyton
got it.
Siva, Russ Smith. 3.
Louisville
In 2013 was the last number 1 overall seed to win.
I would not have guessed that
NCAA
they were a number
tournament.
1 seed.
Also, another thing I had. So UConn, not only are they the number 1 seed, but they're also trying to go back to back. Who was the last team to go back to back?
That was Florida.
That was Florida, right? When they had Joakim Noah and Al
And
Horford
Corey Brewer.
beat Ohio State for the second one.
Billy Donovan was the coach of them.
Yep.
Wow.
Interesting.
Or Billy
stuff.
Donovan wasn't the coach of them.
Yeah, he was.
Back then?
At Florida, yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy. So that's another reason why I didn't pick UConn. Is they're going up against history here.
They are going up against history, but I think
But they
they're
may just be that
so
good.
freaking good.
They may just be that good.
But that's just what it is. So, the consensus pick. We do have to make our consensus pick, no? Kentucky or UConn?
UConn, Kentucky.
I mean, UConn.
I'm going UConn.
Kentucky.
UConn Huskies.
You're hating on the Huskies, too. You guys both Huskies haters. Yeah, I've got UConn over Kentucky. I think it's going to be an awesome game. But we know that I like to root for just what I think is best for sports
Yes.
as opposed to what actually happens.
Right.
Like last year, I boycotted the Final Four. I was like, I'm just not going to watch it. Because it was San
Fair
Diego
enough.
State. Anytime San Diego State makes the Final Four,
Yeah.
I'm not watching.
Fair
I
enough.
will not watch. Do you have any other little stats for us?
That's all I got.
That's all you got for us.
What a tournament
Okay.
this is going to be.
What a tournament. So let's go to our consensus bracket. What's our Final Four going to be again?
Final Four is UConn versus Alabama, which I just...
No, Baylor.
Or Baylor? Did we pick Baylor?
Yeah,
I think it was
UConn
Baylor. Yeah,
versus
yeah.
Baylor.
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky versus Purdue. And then we've got UConn, Purdue, or UConn, Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that. In the championship. And then UConn Huskies winning it all. Let's
This is
do
fun.
it, boys. Let's
This
do
is
it.
fun, guys. This is great. By the time this episode comes out, half of these picks will be wrong.
Yes, most definitely. Yeah.
But that's what makes it fun. It's March Madness. If you guys haven't already, for those listening, if you're getting to Saturday and you don't have a March Madness bracket, you better do it. That's a responsibility. That's a responsibility as an American
Yes.
to fill out a bracket. So be sure that you get that done at least after the weekend. Play the round of 32 on. Well, now you can't. It's going to be Sweet 16 on. Play Sweet 16 on. Do that.
Maybe on Saturday. Saturday morning.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Saturday
Then
morning.
get the round of 32 going. Get the round of 32 going.
Let's do it.
This has been episode 23 of the Inside Sports Podcast. Probably our greatest episode. That's why it's 23. Shout out Michael Jordan, who is the greatest of all time. Not even a chance. And yeah, have a great rest of your day. If you're listening to this on Spotify, please be sure to like this episode and give us a follow. And then if you are watching this on YouTube, please be sure to like the episode, subscribe, and then be sure to hit the bell notification so that you know whenever we drop an episode. This has been episode 23. DE is capitalized.
That's right.
Cole, Joey, Jordan, we're all here. Have a great one.